The final weekend of the NYSL qualifiers is coming up, and this is most likely the most important qualifying weekend that we've had so far this year. So you guys know we have to do the pick'ems. We're gonna see how these teams are gonna finish heading into the last major of the year. But look, I know my uploads have been inconsistent, and it's for a good reason. Okay, I'm currently in the process of buying my first house ever in my life. My offer was accepted. Okay, I'm in the escrow period, so it's just a lot of adulting. So I've really just been trying to lock that down, get it done with, but that's why. So I'm gonna be doing my best to be as consistent as I possibly can moving forward. Now for the more important part, and that's going flawless in this week's pickups. So as you guys can see, the first match of the weekend, it's gonna be London versus Atlanta. And this series really isn't that important for either team because both of these teams are safe for COD champs. London is also 3-0, so they're going to be in winner's bracket no matter what, even if they go 0-2 this week. Atlanta is 2-1. They had a very unfortunate series versus LAG. I was not expecting them to lose that series, but then they came out. They handled Toronto Ultra rather easily. They beat the LAT in a relatively close series, but they closed it out. Dominant performance in S&D. They won that series 3-2. I think that they are going to come out. I think they're going to get this win over London. Atlanta's due, man. They've been in every single grand final so far on LAN, even though London is getting back to the point they were at earlier in the year. You have to favor Atlanta FaZe, in my opinion. Moving on to the next series. Now, this is a very important series for Florida. It's going to be Paris versus the Mutineers. So Paris is out. Okay, they've won 2 series the entire year. They will not be at COD champs. Well, Florida's right there. They are currently sitting in the 10th spot with 120 CDL points throughout the entire year. And they have to get the freebie win versus Paris. Okay, they cannot let Paris spoil their chances at making COD champs. And when you look at their other matchup this week, they have the LAT, Los Angeles Thieves. That is going to be a way harder series for them, so they cannot afford to go 0-2 because they have 120 points. Currently, LAG is sitting in 8th with 135 points. Okay, and you get 10 points per win. So not only would that put them, 5 points out of being in a top 8, being in a Call of Duty champs spot, but they also need this win for the qualifiers for the NYSL tournament because they're currently 1-2. Okay, you would love, if you're a Florida Mutineers fan, for them to go 2-0, but even if they go 1-1, they have the possibility of guaranteeing themselves a winner's bracket. And look, man, Paris, I was low on them, I was high on them. Look, they got 2 wins all year. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow win this series, I'll be honest. But I can't use the reasoning of, oh, they have nothing to lose, because they haven't really had anything to lose for a majority of the year now. I have Florida winning this series. It's also 3-1 in my opinion. And then we get to the last match on Friday. This is going to be Minnesota versus Seattle. This is another big matchup, guys, because Minnesota is right there with Florida at 120 CDL points. So not only do they need this win to get closer to that top 8 spot, but both Seattle and Minnesota are currently 1-2. Okay, and when you look at the schedule, you have Seattle going up against Minnesota and then Atlanta FaZe, and Minnesota going up against Seattle and Paris. Now, Minnesota definitely has a little bit easier of a matchup compared to Seattle. Both of these teams need this win to have an opportunity to make winner's bracket. And more importantly, Minnesota just needs this win in general. Now, Seattle haven't looked that great. Like I said, they are currently sitting at 1-2. Minnesota, I think this could be a huge statement series for the rest of the league. Like, hey, we're going to make COD champs, okay? We're going to make winner's bracket at NYSL at that major, and then we are also going to fight our way into the top 8. And I think we're going to see, I guess, technically an upset, because I have Minnesota winning the series. I think it is going to go 3-2. Game 5. It's going to be a classic one. Attach is going to run through an artillery probably, but they're going to come out on top. And I'm probably wrong, but I'm really rooting for the boys on Minnesota. And Seattle, they already got a major win. Now, the second day of the qualifiers, well, the final qualifiers, we have Minnesota versus Paris. This is without a doubt, I'm going to say maybe Paris fight back a little bit. but I have Minnesota winning this series. So this would make Minnesota, in my eyes, 3-2 in this qualifier stage, and they would get much needed points heading into the last major of the year before COD Champs. Then we have the Toronto Ultra versus the Boston Breach. Now, Boston Breach have been playing very solid. They're currently sitting at the number 5 spot overall throughout the entire year, and they're 3-1 in these qualifiers. So they only have one match this weekend, and they're going to be a winner's bracket no matter what. They're also kind of on that top side of the teams that are in the bubble, quote unquote. You know, they would really have to bomb out, and actually, I don't even know if they could fall out. Like, it would have to be something crazy. NYSL would have to make a run. But Toronto, on the other hand, they need this win badly. Because even though they're sitting at 6 right now, 150 total CDL points, only 10 behind Boston, they're 1-2 so far in this qualifying stage. And they cannot afford to be in loser's bracket. Because even though Toronto has been looking really good as of late, they play OpTic Texas as well. And I know OpTic hasn't looked as great, but it's going to be a tough team. And if you start in loser's bracket when you're kind of in this bubble with a couple other teams, if you have a bad series, that could be the end of your year, you know, realistically. I have to go Toronto. I don't know. I would be surprised if they just kind of really fall off a cliff right before the biggest major of the year for them. I think they're going to figure it out. They're going to get to winner's bracket, and they're going to secure themselves a spot, okay, moving forward and playing at COD Champs. Then we have the Mutineers versus the Thieves. And look, man, I don't care what none of y'all say. I'm going LAT all day. This is a huge matchup for both teams. Okay, they both need these 10 points. I think it's going to be LAT 3-1. I think, you know, LAT, they can compete with the best when it comes to the respawns. In my opinion, their S&D, very hit or miss, way too inconsistent. And just majority of the time, flat out, very, very average. Definitely not like my S&D when I was a competitor. But I think that they just have too much firepower. I got LAT winning that and really helping them out because they have a tough matchup. NYSL last match of the entire weekend. But for the last match on Saturday, Atlanta FaZe versus Seattle Surge, I also think we're going to see an Atlanta FaZe win. Seattle, unfortunately, I have gone 0-2. Actually, do Atlanta FaZe... Seattle, like, always matches up well versus Atlanta. I'm going to say 3-2. Now we have the final matchups of the qualifiers, London versus LAG. London's been playing great. LAG has not been playing great. I know they got a win over the Atlanta FaZe, but I'm just not confident in LAG moving forward. I don't agree with the roster move they made. I heard that some of the players on the team don't agree with the roster moves that were made. That's obviously speculation, hearsay, objection, but I don't know. I just don't think they're confident in themselves. So London is also feeling very good. And this is going to be tough for LAG, man. It really is, because when I'm looking at the Major 4 qualifier standings, LAG is 1-3. So they need this win if they even want an opportunity to be in winner's bracket. And if they start in loser's bracket, that's not ideal because they are the 8th place team or the 8th seeded team right now with 135 before these matches. And they have the potential to get passed up before we even get to the major. And if they start in loser's bracket, your destiny is not in your control. You really just need to be able, give yourself a buffer, you know, be able to start in winner's bracket, get those 10 points, 20 points, whatever. I know it's like 10 per win, but I think the first win is 20 or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Regardless, not confident in LAG, not only in this match, but at the major and actually making COD Champs. And then we have Toronto Ultra versus OpTic Texas. OpTic just have not looked good in stage 4 in these qualifiers. I know they've had Proloot. I know Illy's back. I'm not sold, man. I don't know what it is. I do think that this could be a 3-2, probably will be a very close series. But OpTic, they've lost their swag, you know, like their aura that they had after they won that first major, where it's like they were confident, you know, maybe a little cocky, but just their gameplay was very entertaining to watch. And I'm not making an excuse for OpTic. I get it. You know, you have a lot of playing with subs, playing with different players. Illy's out, Illy's back, Illy's out, Illy's back. it's tough, okay? And it hurts the team chemistry. It hurts just the overall teamwork aspect in Call of Duty when you're just constantly swapping a player out. But they need to figure it out, and I don't think it's going to happen versus Toronto. And I do have OpTic starting in losers bracket, unfortunately. And then the last match is NYSL versus LAT, and NYSL have been on a tear. They're the only undefeated team. They're currently 4-0, not the only undefeated team, because if I look, actually, London is 3-0. But NYSL is 4-0. They have a shot at going 5-0 in their own qualifiers. That would mean getting 50 points off the qualifiers, starting in winners bracket. I'll be honest, guys, I thought there wasn't a shot in hell that they made COD champs. But right now, they're going to be in winners bracket, which is great. And they currently have 110 CDL points. So they're only 25 away. That's it. So if they win this series versus LAT, they'll be 15 away. Well, you know, teams can move around, whatever, but they'll be in striking distance to where if they just don't bomb out at the major, they're going to have a good shot at actually getting to COD champs. And I'll be honest, with the way NYSL has been playing, it's hard to pick LAT, even though those are my boys. So I'm just going to have to go NYSL. I do think LAT can make it super competitive. I mean, LAT can beat them. It's not like NYSL is some unbeatable force. I just feel like NYSL, they're playing for more right now. Those are my pick'ems, guys. Like I said, I appreciate love as always. See y'all later.